The year is 6613. Enger's Andal host has been settled in the north for 3 years now. A great Andal city begins to blossom at the mouth of the White Knife, far surpassing anything else in the north, and advancing at such a rate that it may one day compete with the cities of the south. 4 new great Andal houses have risen in Westeros: Roseheart, Upton, Bloom, and of course House Sevenstar as the High Lord above the others. The next sensible step for Enger to now take was to try and secure his line and new lands by producing an heir. So it was then in late 6613 that Enger married his first wife. Her name has since been wiped from all records due to the fact she was found to be having an affair, from which she contracted a sexually transmitted disease. Fortunately, Enger found out about this through her handmaidens before the chance arose for him to risk catching it himself. She was immediately imprisoned and divorced before being banished from Sevensport. During their very short marriage, she produced 1 child for Enger, which sadly turned out to be a stillborn son. In 6614, Enger married his second and final wife, Maria. Their marriage is a long and fruitful one, in which they produce many children. Over the next few years, much more work is done to make the new lands prosperous, and to both help settle the Andal settlers, as well as integrate the much more numerous Northmen native to these lands. Septons and scepters are sent up and down the White Star and all around Enger's new lands to spread the faith of the Seven, as well as showcase the much more advanced way of Andal life. It is thanks to this, but by 6617 the majority of Sevensport's First Men population is converted peacefully to the faith of the Seven and the less savage Andal way of life. Shortly after, still in early 6617, Enger's first living child is born, a healthy and beautiful baby girl which they name Rosling Sevenstar. The city's joy of the birth was short-lived, however. It would be the last piece of good news that the people would have that year, as the rest of 6617 would be full of cold and sickness. The great pox came first, striking and spreading all over the lands of the White Star. Then, when things couldn't get any worse, they did. In late 6617, winter came to Sevensport, the first northern winter the Andals had experienced since their great migration. All the tales and warnings could not have prepared them for the snows and cold that were to come. In 6619, still in the midst of winter, Enger decides to host the first great tourney of Sevensport, the first of its kind in the north. Surprisingly, the tournament is a huge success. Enger puts on caravans and envoys led by his knights to help guide all who wish to attend safely to the city, from the highest lord to the lowest of small folk. This highly improved the morale of the homesick and frozen Andal settlers, helping them feel much more at home in their new lands, as well as having a high influence over a lot of the First Men. Thousands of Northmen attended the tournament in awe of the occasion and all the heraldry of knighthood and jousting. Many went back to their homes with dreams and ambition of earning their own knighthoods, so that they might compete in the future competitions. After 7 days of entertaining tilts, it came down to the final tilt between Sir Stephen Roseheart, Lord of the White Star, and Sir Wilbert, the Master of Arms of Whitford, in the service of Lord Danes Upton. After many broken lances, Sir Stephen Roseheart is announced the winner to the cheers of the crowd. After such an incredible high, however, as is life and the way of the gods, a cruel low from the stranger was to follow. In late 6619, Enger and his lady wife suffer a great loss in the form of a stillborn daughter who they name Mordain Sevenstar. This would be the second stillborn child suffered by Enger, leaving him still without a male heir. In the same year, his younger brother Owen also suffers the loss of a stillborn son, before his lady wife dies from the pox. The cruel winter hangs around for 3 more brutal years before the sun breaks through the grey sky, bringing the start of spring. To celebrate the end of a desperate and tragic winter, in the year 6622, Lord Stephen Roseheart hosts a great tourney in the White Star, which he goes on to win. A year later though, at the start of 6623, word reached Sevensport of a great Andal host landing in the north, clearly inspired by Enger and his knights' great success. They decided to embark on their own great northern conquest. They landed their longships and knights far to the north of Sevensport, in what the First Men called the Grey Cliffs, a frozen land made up of dense, dark woodland and surrounded by some of the Stark's most powerful vassals. Enger decides it is in the best interest of his small and growing kingdom to stay neutral, refusing to anger the wolf anymore before the time is right, and refusing to fight his fellow Andals. Some whisper more to the fact that Enger was not willing to share his glory and achievements in the north with fellow would-be Andal conquerors, and simply hoped invasion would fail, yet further weaken the Starks. The next few years would suggest this more likely the truth.